The grand chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with noise and movement. Beings from 300 different worlds sat in their designated seats, waiting for the meeting to begin. Some had scales, others had fur, and many looked nothing like anything found on Earth. They all shared one thing in common today. They were angry at humanity. Ambassador Jake Harrison stood in the small area reserved for Earth's delegation. He was alone. The Council had not allowed him to bring guards or assistants to this meeting. They wanted him to feel isolated and powerless. Jake understood this tactic. He had studied their methods for 6 months, since becoming Earth's representative to the galaxy. He kept his face calm and his hands relaxed behind his back. The Supreme Arbiter raised its 4 arms to call for silence. The Arbiter was from an ancient race called the Velcron. It stood 3 times taller than a human, and its skin shimmered with colors that human eyes could barely process. When it spoke, its voice filled the entire chamber without needing any technology to amplify it. "We gather today to address the problem of humanity," the Arbiter announced. The word problem echoed through the vast space. "The species from Earth has violated our laws 17 times. They build weapons when we tell them to keep peace. They create thinking machines when we forbid such technology. They change their own bodies with genetic science when we demand natural purity." A delegate from the Scorn Empire rose from its seat. The creature looked like a massive lizard standing on 2 legs. Its voice was a hiss that the translation devices turned into words. "Humans are dangerous. They have only been in space for 200 years, yet they act like they own the stars. They expand too fast. They learn too much. They refuse to obey our guidance." More voices joined in agreement. The peaceful Lumina Collective, beings made of living light, spoke about humanity's aggressive expansion into new star systems. The merchant guilds complained that human trade was taking their profits. The military powers warned that Earth's growing fleet of warships threatened the balance of power that had existed for millions of years. Jake listened to all of it. He did not interrupt or argue. He simply stood and watched as 300 species took turns explaining why humanity was a threat that needed to be controlled. After 2 hours of speeches, the Arbiter turned its massive head toward Jake. Its eyes, all 6 of them, focused on the lone human standing in the delegation box. "Ambassador Harrison, you have heard the charges against your species. The Council has voted and reached a decision. Humanity must destroy 90% of its military ships. You must stop all genetic experiments on your own people. You must allow Council observers to watch and control all of your technology development. You have 30 days to agree to these terms." The Arbiter paused, letting the words sink in. Then it continued with a tone that left no room for doubt. "If humanity refuses these terms, the combined military forces of the Galactic Council will come to Earth and enforce them. This is not a negotiation. This is a declaration." The chamber erupted in approval. Delegates from 300 worlds cheered and made sounds of satisfaction. They had just threatened to destroy humanity if Earth did not surrender its freedom and future. The message was clear. Submit or die. Jake Harrison smiled. It was not a nervous smile or a fake smile meant to hide fear. It was genuine. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret that nobody else in the room understood. The Arbiter noticed the smile. Its expression shifted to something that might have been confusion. "You smile? Human? Do you not understand what we have declared?" "I understand perfectly," Jake replied. His voice was calm and steady. "May I address the Council before you end this session?" The Arbiter gestured with 2 of its arms, granting permission. It clearly expected Jake to either beg for mercy or make empty threats. The other delegates settled back into their seats, ready to enjoy watching the human squirm. Jake walked to the speaker's platform at the center of the chamber. His footsteps echoed in the sudden quiet. 300 species watched him with various forms of eyes, sensors, and perception organs. He took his time, looking around the chamber, meeting as many gazes as he could. "Thank you for your ultimatum," Jake began. He tapped a control on his wrist device, and a holographic image appeared above him. It showed Earth, slowly rotating, blue and green and beautiful. "Before I give you humanity's response, I need to tell you something about my species, something we have kept very quiet for 200 years. The delegates waited. Some shifted in their seats with impatience. "When we first reached the stars and found your council, we were excited," Jake continued. "We thought we had joined a great civilization. We were eager to learn and become part of your community." He paused and changed the holographic image. Now it showed early human colony ships, primitive and slow compared to modern vessels. "But we also discovered something strange. Your council has existed for 3 million years. In all that time, you have only added 300 species. That is one new member every 10,000 years. We found this very odd." Murmurs began to spread through the chamber. Jake ignored them and pressed on. "Space is huge, but not that huge. Many intelligent species should have evolved. Many should have been discovered. Many should have joined the council. So we asked ourselves, where are they? What happened to all the other species that should exist?" The hologram changed again. Now it showed ruins on dead planets, ancient cities crumbling into dust, empty worlds that should have been full of life. "We found them," Jake said quietly. 47 extinct civilizations, not destroyed by war or disease or natural disasters, simply erased from existence. And we found the pattern. Each one had been invited to join your council. Each one had been given ultimatums, just like the one you gave us today. And when they refused to limit their growth, when they would not surrender their freedom, the council made them disappear. The silence in the council chamber felt heavy and dangerous. Jake Harrison stood at the speaker's platform, alone before 300 hostile species. His words hung in the air like a bomb that had not yet exploded. The arbiter recovered first from the shock. Its 6 eyes narrowed as it stared down at the human. "You accuse this council of genocide. You claim we have destroyed civilizations. These are serious charges. What proof do you offer?" Jake activated his wrist device again. The holographic display expanded, filling the space above the chamber with images and data. "These are the coordinates of the 47 extinct civilizations we discovered. The data is freely available to anyone who looks. We have dated the ruins. We have analyzed the destruction patterns. And we have cross-referenced everything with your own historical records." The display showed star maps with marked locations. Each mark represented a dead world, a civilization that no longer existed. "The pattern is clear," Jake continued. "Each civilization reached spaceflight. Each one was contacted by your council. Each one showed signs of rapid technological advancement, and each one disappeared within 100 years of council contact. The evidence is overwhelming." A delegate from the merchant guilds, a floating creature that looked like a jellyfish made of metal, spoke up. "Even if what you say is true, it proves nothing. Perhaps these species destroyed themselves. Perhaps they were eliminated by natural disasters or internal conflicts." Jake shook his head. "We considered those possibilities, but the evidence does not support them. The ruins show advanced technology that was suddenly abandoned. There are no signs of civil war or environmental collapse. What we do find, in every case, are weapon signatures that match Council military technology. Energy patterns from your ships, residue from your bombs. You left your fingerprints all over these dead worlds." The chamber erupted again. This time the noise was different. It was not anger, but fear and uncertainty. Some delegates clearly did not know about the extinct civilizations. Others looked uncomfortable, as if they knew exactly what Jake was talking about, but had hoped it would never be mentioned. A voice cut through the chaos. It belonged to Commander Vex of the Talon Federation, a species of bird-like warriors known for their honor. If what the human says is true, then this council has committed crimes that violate every law we claim to uphold. This must be investigated. Must be investigated. Must be investigated. It will be investigated, the arbiter said quickly, its tone suggesting that no real investigation would ever happen. But that is not the matter before us today. We are here to address humanity's violations of council law. Jake smiled again. No, we are here because you are afraid of us. You see humanity advancing rapidly, developing technologies you want to control, building a military that makes you nervous, and you are responding the same way you have responded 47 times before. You are trying to force us to accept limits that will make us weak enough to eliminate later. He paused and looked around the chamber, making eye contact with as many delegates as possible. Here is what humanity has learned from studying your past actions. You do not want partners. You want subjects. You do not celebrate diversity and growth. You suppress it. Any species that shows the potential to challenge your power is given a choice. Submit or die. And even submission only buys time before you find an excuse to remove that species permanently. The arbiter's skin colors shifted to angry reds and purples. You speak as if you have a choice in this matter. You are one species with a few dozen worlds. The Council controls thousands of systems and trillions of beings. Your defiance is meaningless. Is it? Jake asked. His tone remained calm, almost conversational. You have given us 30 days to surrender. Let me tell you what will happen in those 30 days. You will gather your fleets. You will plan your invasion. You will calculate how many ships you need to crush Earth and force us to obey. And you will make a critical mistake. What mistake? The arbiter demanded. You will assume you know what humanity is capable of. You will base your plans on the information you have gathered about our military. You will count our ships, measure our weapons, and analyze our defenses. And every single piece of data you have is exactly what we wanted you to see. Jake deactivated the holographic display. Now it was just him, standing alone, speaking to the most powerful political body in the galaxy. 200 years ago, when we learned what happened to the 47 extinct species, we made a decision. We would not make the same mistakes they made. They tried to show strength, thinking it would earn respect. Instead, it earned them extinction. So we chose a different path. He began walking slowly around the speaker's platform, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. We appeared weak while growing strong. We showed you ships with power outputs that matched your expectations. We built bases in locations where your scouts would find them. We created a military that looked appropriate for a young species still learning about the galaxy. Everything you know about Earth's defenses was carefully designed to make you underestimate us. A delegate from the Lumina Collective, its light form flickering with concern, spoke up. You are saying you have been deceiving the Council for 2 centuries? Yes, Jake said simply. We have been lying to you about everything that matters. Our ship counts are wrong. Our weapons capabilities are understated. Our industrial capacity is hidden. Our true technological level is beyond what you imagine. We have spent 200 years preparing for this exact moment. The moment when you would finally show your true nature and demand our submission. The chamber filled with angry voices again. Some delegates shouted that humanity should be destroyed immediately for such deception. Others demanded that Jake be arrested. A few sat in stunned silence, beginning to understand the implications of what they were hearing. The arbiter raised all 4 arms again, demanding quiet. When the noise finally died down, it spoke with cold fury. Even if you have hidden ships and weapons, you cannot match the might of the entire Council. We have 2 million warships. We have military traditions spanning millions of years. We have weapons that can destroy planets. What does humanity have that could possibly threaten us? Jake stopped walking and faced the arbiter directly. His smile had faded, replaced by an expression of grim determination. We have something you lost millions of years ago. We have the memory of what it means to fight for survival. Every species. The council session ended in chaos. Delegates argued among themselves. Some demanded immediate military action against Earth. Others called for investigation into the extinct civilizations Jake had mentioned. A few wise voices urged caution and more information before making any decisions. The arbiter dismissed the assembly without announcing any conclusions, but everyone knew what would happen next. The council would gather its fleets and come to Earth. Jake Harrison returned to his quarters on the council station and immediately activated a secure communication link to Earth. The face that appeared on his screen belonged to General Ryan Foster, the commander of Earth's unified military forces. "How did it go?" Ryan asked, though his expression suggested he already knew the answer. "As expected," Jake replied. "I told them about the extinct civilizations. I warned them that we have been hiding our true strength. They did not believe me. Or rather, they believe I am exaggerating. They still think they have the advantage." Ryan nodded. "Good. That means the plan is working. How long do we have?" "Maybe a week before their fleet arrives at Earth. They will want to move quickly to prevent us from preparing defenses. They do not know that we have been preparing for 200 years, Ryan said with a slight smile. "Lisa wants to talk to you. I am transferring you now." "No." The screen changed to show Commander Lisa Chen, the head of Earth's intelligence division. She sat in a secure bunker deep beneath the surface of the moon, surrounded by displays showing information from across the galaxy. "Jake, we have been monitoring council communications since your speech," Lisa said. "They are mobilizing 50,000 warships for the first wave. They expect this to be a quick operation. A show of force to make Earth surrender." 50,000, Jake repeated. "Against our public fleet of 5,000 ships. They are planning overkill to make sure we do not resist." "Exactly. They want to intimidate us into submission." Admiral Kreth of the Varkoth Empire is leading the fleet. He is a veteran commander with a reputation for crushing rebellions quickly and efficiently. The council chose him because he has never lost a battle. Jake considered this information. "What about the rest of their forces?" "C. Information. C. They are keeping most of their military on standby," Lisa explained. "They think 50,000 ships is more than enough. They are also worried about leaving their own territories undefended. Some species are nervous about the accusations you made regarding extinct civilizations. There is political tension in the council that might work in our favor." "Show me our actual disposition," Jake requested. Lisa pulled up a holographic display that filled the space around her. It showed the Sol system and the surrounding star sectors. Blue markers indicated human ships and installations. There were thousands of them. Far more than any council intelligence had ever detected. "We have 55,000 warships in active service," Lisa said. "Another 40,000 in reserve that can be activated within 72 hours. And our shipyards can produce approximately 600 new vessels per month if we go to maximum production." The numbers were staggering. The council thought humanity had 5,000 ships. The reality was 20 times that number. "How did we hide this from them for so long?" Jake asked, though he knew the answer. He just wanted to hear Lisa explain it. "Stealth technology," Lisa said. "We started developing it the moment we learned about the extinct civilizations. We knew that any species the council could see, they could destroy. So we made ourselves invisible. Our shipyards are hidden in the Kuiper Belt and Oort Cloud, disguised as natural ice formations. Our ships use quantum field manipulation to hide their energy signatures. Our bases are built into asteroids that council sensors read as worthless rocks. We created an entire military that exists in the shadows." She zoomed the display to show a cluster of objects at the edge of the Sol system. To normal sensors, they would appear to be nothing but comets and debris. In reality, each one was a warship or weapons platform. "The council has excellent sensor technology," Lisa continued. "But they designed it to find threats they understand. Ships with fusion drives. energy weapons, shield generators, standard military technology refined over millions of years. They never imagined someone would build ships specifically designed to be undetectable by their sensors. What about our weapon systems? Jake asked. Ryan Foster reappeared on the screen alongside Lisa. That is where things get interesting. Every ship the Council knows about has been running at reduced power for their entire service life. The Council thinks our vessels match their frigates and destroyers in capability. The truth is that each of our standard warships can output energy levels comparable to their dreadnoughts. We achieved this through efficiency, Lisa added. Council military technology is millions of years old. It works, but it is not optimized. They keep using the same designs because they have always worked. We built our ships from scratch with modern engineering and materials science. We got more power from smaller reactors. We got better performance from lighter hulls. We essentially skipped millions of years of incremental improvements and went straight to the best designs we could create. Jake processed all this information. It painted a picture of preparation on a scale that was difficult to comprehend. For 200 years, humanity had been building a military in secret. Every advancement in technology had been weaponized. Every resource had been directed toward ensuring survival. What about the Council's infrastructure? Jake asked. Lisa's expression became serious. That is our real weapon. We have mapped their entire empire. Every faster-than-light relay station, every major shipyard, every communication hub, every supply depot. We know where their civilization's vital organs are located. She pulled up another display showing the Council's territory. Red markers indicated thousands of locations spread across their space. The Council's strength is also their weakness, Lisa explained. They control 300 species across 12,000 inhabited worlds. That civilization is held together by infrastructure, FTL communication relays that allow instant messages across the galaxy, automated manufacturing centers that produce goods for billions of consumers, transportation networks that move resources between systems. All of it is civilian and undefended because no one has ever attacked it before. If that infrastructure is destroyed, Ryan said quietly, the Council collapses. Not immediately, but within months. The 300 species would become isolated from each other. They could not coordinate military actions. They could not maintain their economy. They could not even talk to each other faster than light speed allows. The Empire would fragment into 300 separate civilizations again. Jake understood the strategy now. Humanity was not planning to fight the Council's military. That would be a long, bloody conflict that might still end in defeat. Instead, humanity was planning to destroy the Council's ability to function as a unified empire. It is brilliant and terrible at the same time, Jake said. We would not be destroying populations or planets. We would be destroying the connections between them. Exactly, Lisa confirmed. It is a strategy the Council never anticipated because no one has ever fought them this way before. The 47 extinct species tried to match the Council's military strength. They failed. We are not going to make that mistake. When does our fleet begin moving into position? Jake asked. Ships are already deployed, Ryan answered. We have attack groups positioned near 3,000 key Council infrastructure targets. They are in stealth mode, invisible to Council sensors. If Kreth's fleet attacks Earth, our ships will execute simultaneous strikes across the entire Council territory within hours. By the time the Council realizes what is happening, half their infrastructure will be destroyed. Jake felt the weight of what was about to happen. Humanity was preparing to fight a war unlike any the galaxy had seen. Not a war of conquest or territory. A war of survival that would reshape galactic civilization. Do you think they will actually attack? Lisa asked. Jake considered the question carefully. They might. The Council has been the dominant power for so long that they cannot imagine losing. They think their size and strength make them invincible. They do not understand that we have been preparing specifically to beat them for 200 years. Admiral Kreth stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. Around him, the crew worked efficiently at their stations, preparing the massive vessel for combat. Through the forward viewing screen, he could see hundreds of other warships in formation. 50,000 vessels, the largest council fleet, assembled in 10,000 years. They were 2 days away from Earth. 2 days until humanity would learn the price of defying the Galactic Council. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission request from the human ambassador, his communications officer reported. He is asking to speak with you directly. Admiral. Kreeth considered ignoring the message. What could the human possibly have to say that would matter now? But curiosity won out. Perhaps the human was ready to surrender and wanted to negotiate terms. Put him through, Kreeth ordered. Jake Harrison's face appeared on the main screen. He was not on the council station anymore. The background showed what appeared to be a military command center on Earth. Humans in uniform moved around behind him, working at various stations. Admiral Kreth, Jake said with a respectful nod. Thank you for accepting my call. I know you are busy preparing to invade my home world. I am glad you understand the situation, Kreth replied. Has Earth decided to accept the Council's terms? It would save many lives. No, Jake said simply. Earth's position has not changed. We will not surrender our freedom or our future. But I am calling because I want to give you one last chance to avoid a war that you cannot win. Kreeth laughed. It was a harsh, barking sound. Cannot win? Human, I command 50,000 warships crewed by the finest warriors in the galaxy. You have 5,000 ships at most. Your mathematics are terrible. My mathematics are perfect, Jake countered. But your information is wrong. You think you know how many ships we have. You think you know our capabilities. You are mistaken about both. I am calling to show you the truth before you make a decision you will regret. Show me then, Kreeth challenged. Prove that you are not simply trying to delay the inevitable. Jake nodded to someone off-screen. Admiral, your sensor officer is about to detect something unusual. I recommend you pay attention. Kreth turned to his sensor station. The officer there, a crystalline being from the shimmering reaches, suddenly pulsed with alarm colors. Admiral, I am detecting massive gravity distortions throughout our fleet formation. The patterns are artificial, not natural phenomena. Explain, Kreth demanded. It appears there are large objects surrounding our vessels, but I cannot get clear readings. The distortions are interfering with our sensors. On the screen, Jake spoke again. What your sensors are trying to detect are ships. Specifically, 70 human warships that have been following your fleet since you left Council space. They have been there the entire time. Invisible to your detection systems. Kreth felt a cold sensation in his chest. You are lying. Am I? Let me prove it. Chief, activate the targeting lasers. Suddenly, one of Kreeth's destroyers at the edge of the formation lit up. 70 red targeting beams, visible only because they were set to frequencies the ship's sensors could detect, converged on the vessel from all directions. The beams came from empty space, from locations where Kreth's sensors showed nothing but vacuum. That destroyer is now being targeted by 70 of our frigates, Jake explained calmly. We are not firing. This is simply a demonstration. Your sensors cannot see the ships targeting you. They are using stealth technology that your detection systems were not designed to counter. Kreeth stared at his displays in disbelief. His sensors still showed empty space where those targeting beams originated. It was impossible. No ship could hide from Council sensors like this. This is your first mistake, Jake continued. You assumed that your sensor technology, refined over millions of years, could detect any threat. You never considered that someone might develop technology specifically designed to defeat your sensors. We have had 200 years to study your detection methods and build ships you cannot see. Even if you have stealth ships, Kreth said, trying to maintain his composure, 70 vessels will not change the outcome of this battle. 70 was just for the demonstration, Jake replied. Would you like to know how many stealth ships we actually have surrounding your fleet right now? 55,000. Every single one of your vessels is being tracked and targeted by multiple human warships that you cannot detect. The bridge of the Eternal Dominion fell silent. Every officer turned to look at the admiral, waiting for his response. You are bluffing, Kreth said, but his voice lacked confidence. Your second mistake was underestimating our visible fleet, Jake said, ignoring the accusation. The 5,000 ships you know about. You think they are weak. You think they match your frigates and destroyers in power. Watch what happens when we stop hiding their real capabilities. On Kreth's tactical display, the human ships near Earth suddenly changed. Their energy signatures spiked dramatically. Power readings that had shown them as average vessels now displayed output levels that matched or exceeded Council dreadnoughts. Every ship you have counted and catalogued has been running at approximately 20% of its maximum power. Jake explained. We deliberately suppressed their signatures to make them appear weaker than they are. We wanted you to underestimate us. Each of our warships can output energy levels that match your most powerful vessels. Kreth ran the calculations in his head. If the humans were telling the truth, then their known fleet of 5,000 ships actually represented the combat power of 50,000 council vessels. And if they really had another 55,000 hidden ships with similar capabilities, then this battle was not the certain victory he had assumed. You have our attention, Kreth admitted. But even if your numbers are accurate, you are still showing me military strength. That does not explain why you say, we cannot win. Jake's expression became serious. Because we are not going to fight your military, Admiral. If you attack Earth, we will not engage your fleet in battle. We will let you come to our system. We will let you fight our defenses. And while you are busy attacking us, we will destroy your empire. A new display appeared on the screen beside Jake. It showed a map of Council territory with thousands of marked locations. These are 3,000 critical infrastructure targets in Council space, Jake explained. FTL relay stations, major shipyards, communication hubs, manufacturing centers, transportation nodes. All the technology that allows your 300 species to function as a unified civilization. And none of it is defended because you never imagined anyone would attack civilian infrastructure. Kreth stared at the map. The implications were horrifying. The Council's military strength came from its ability to coordinate forces across thousands of light years. Without FTL communication, that coordination would be impossible. We have attack groups positioned near every one of these targets, Jake continued. They are in stealth mode, invisible to your sensors, waiting for orders. If you attack Earth, they will execute simultaneous strikes throughout your territory. Within 6 months, the Galactic Council will cease to exist as a functioning empire. The 300 species will be isolated from each other, unable to communicate or trade or coordinate military actions. You would collapse galactic civilization, Kreth said quietly. We would end your empire, Jake corrected. The individual species will be fine. Their planets and populations will be unharmed, but the Council's ability to threaten and control other species will be gone forever. That is humanity's answer to your ultimatum. We will not submit. We cannot be defeated militarily. And if you force us to fight, we will ensure that the Council can never threaten another species again. The bridge remained silent as everyone processed what they had just heard. The humans were not planning a conventional war. They were planning to destroy the very structure of Council civilization. Your third mistake, Jake said, was assuming that we would fight like the species you destroyed before. They tried to match your military strength. They failed. We studied their defeats and learned from them. We prepared for 200 years to fight you in a way you cannot counter. We are not stronger than you, Admiral. We are smarter. Kreth felt something he had rarely experienced in his long military career. Admiral Kreth called an emergency meeting of his senior commanders. 20 officers from different species gathered in the war room of the Eternal Dominion. Each represented a different military tradition, a different approach to warfare. But they all shared one thing in common. They had never lost a battle. "I want opinions," Kreth said without preamble. "The humans have made claims about their capabilities. They showed us targeting demonstrations and energy readings. They claim to have hidden ships and plans to attack our infrastructure. Are they bluffing, or do we believe them?" Commander Vex, the bird-like warrior from the Talon Federation, spoke first. The targeting demonstration was real. Those beams came from somewhere, and our sensors could not detect the source. Either they have stealth technology we cannot counter, or they have some other capability we do not understand. Either way, it suggests they are not lying about everything. The energy spike from their known ships was also real, added a Lumina collective strategist, its light form pulsing thoughtfully. Those vessels were suppressing their power output. The question is whether they have truly been doing this for 200 years, or if this is a recent modification designed to intimidate us. A reptilian officer from the Scorn Empire hissed its opinion. "Even if their numbers are accurate, we still have numerical superiority when we count the full Council military. 55,000 hidden ships, plus 5,000 known ships, is still only 60,000 vessels. The Council can field 2 million ships if needed. We should call their bluff and attack." "And if they are not bluffing about the infrastructure attacks?" Kreth asked. "What happens to our ability to coordinate a campaign across the galaxy if our FTL relay network is destroyed?" The room fell silent as the officers considered this question. Finally, an old veteran from the Velcron species spoke. Its voice carried the weight of centuries of experience. "I fought in the suppression campaigns against the Kethran species 8,000 years ago. They were one of the civilizations the human mentioned in his speech. I was young then, just a junior officer. I remember we were told the Kethrans had violated Council law and needed to be controlled. We blockaded their worlds, destroyed their shipyards, and eventually erased all trace of their civilization." The veteran paused, its skin colors shifting to darker tones. "I was proud of that victory at the time. I believed we were maintaining peace and order in the galaxy. But as I grew older, I began to question what we had done. The Kethrans were not evil. They were simply independent and technologically advanced. They refused to accept Council limitations, so we destroyed them. I have carried that guilt for 8 millennia. Kreth looked at the veteran with new understanding. "You believe the human was telling the truth about the extinct species?" "I know he was," the veteran replied. "Because I was part of making them extinct. And if the humans have discovered this truth, then they have every reason to refuse our ultimatum. They know that submission is just a slower form of extinction." Another officer spoke up, this one from the merchant guilds. "Even if we win the battle for Earth, the economic implications of an infrastructure war are catastrophic. My guild representatives have run the projections. If the humans destroy our FTL relay network, interstellar trade collapses. If they hit our automated manufacturing centers, supply chains fail. If they target transportation hubs, logistics become impossible. The Council's economy would enter a depression that could last centuries. War is not about economics," the Scorn officer hissed. "All wars are about economics," the merchant replied sharply. "Armies need supplies. Ships need fuel and repairs. Populations need food and goods. Remove the infrastructure that provides these things, and military strength becomes irrelevant. The humans are not threatening to defeat our military. They are threatening to starve it." Kreth absorbed all this input. His officers were divided. Some wanted to attack immediately. Others urged caution. A few suggested retreat and negotiation. None of them seemed confident that this would be an easy victory. "I need to see for myself," Kreth finally decided. "I want our best stealth detection systems to scan the area around this fleet. Use every sensor we have. If the humans really have 55,000 ships surrounding us, we should be able to detect some trace of them. The orders were given. For the next 6 hours, every sensor on every council ship worked to scan the surrounding space. They used gravimetric detectors, radiation sensors, quantum field analyzers, and technologies developed over millions of years of warfare. The results were disturbing. They found anomalies, gravity distortions that should not exist, energy signatures that appeared and disappeared, quantum fluctuations that suggested something was interfering with normal space-time. But they could not get clear readings on any ships. It was as if the human vessels existed in a state between visible and invisible. "They are there," the sensor specialist reported to Kreeth. "Something is there. I cannot give you exact numbers or precise locations, but the anomalies are too numerous and too consistent to be natural phenomena. If I had to estimate, I would say there are between 40 and 60,000 objects of ship-like mass surrounding our fleet." Kreeth felt the cold certainty of understanding. The humans had not been bluffing. They really did have a massive hidden fleet, and if they had managed to hide that fleet for 200 years while the Council watched them, what else might they have hidden? He returned to his ready room and opened a secure channel to the Council's Supreme Arbiter. The transmission would take several hours to reach Council space, and several more hours for a response to return. In the meantime, Kreeth needed to make a decision about what to tell his superiors. While waiting for the connection, Kreeth reviewed everything humanity had revealed. The extinct civilizations, the hidden military, the infrastructure targeting plan, the stealth technology, the suppressed ship capabilities. Each piece of information by itself could be dismissed or explained away, but together, they painted a picture of a species that had been preparing for this confrontation with extraordinary thoroughness. The communication link finally connected. The Supreme Arbiter's image appeared. All 6 eyes focused intently on Kreeth. "Admiral, report your status. Are you prepared to begin the assault on Earth?" Kreeth took a breath before responding. "No, Supreme Arbiter. I am recommending we withdraw the fleet and return to Council space for further negotiations." The Arbiter's skin colors flashed through angry reds. "Explain this recommendation." "Immediately." "Axer." For the next hour, Kreeth detailed everything the humans had revealed. He showed the recordings of the targeting demonstration. He presented the sensor data, showing the anomalies around his fleet. He explained the infrastructure threat and its implications. He even mentioned the veteran officer's testimony about the Kethran suppression. When he finished, the Arbiter was silent for a long moment. "If we withdraw now," the Arbiter finally said, "we appear weak. Other species may begin to question Council authority. If we attack, and the humans carry out their threats," Kreeth countered, "we will be more than weak. We will be fragmented. 300 species unable to coordinate or communicate. The Empire will collapse. You believe they would actually destroy our infrastructure?" "Yes," Kreeth said firmly, "because they have nothing to lose by doing so. We have given them a choice between submission and extinction. They have chosen to fight, but not in a way we can counter. They are not trying to defeat our military. They are trying to dismantle our ability to function as an empire, and based on everything I have seen, I believe they can do it." The Arbiter's expression was difficult to read, but Kreeth thought he detected uncertainty there. Good. The Council needed to understand that this situation was not a simple police action against a rebellious species. This was something new and dangerous. "I will convene the full Council to discuss this matter," the Arbiter said. "Maintain your current position but do not advance toward Earth. Do not initiate hostilities. We need time to consider our options." The transmission ended. Kreeth sat in his ready room, staring at the displays showing his massive fleet. 50,000 ships. The pride of Council military power, and he was being ordered to hold position because one species, one planet called Earth, had shown that strength alone was not enough to guarantee victory. In the Situation Room on Earth, Jake Harrison watched the tactical displays showing the Council fleet. It had stopped advancing. The ships were holding position at the edge of the solar system, neither attacking nor retreating. "They are talking to the Council," General Ryan Foster said. "Kreth is reporting what we showed him." "Good," Jake replied. "That means he believed us. Now the question is whether the Council will be smart enough to back down, or prideful enough to attack anyway." Lisa Chen spoke up from her station. "All attack groups are in position near their assigned targets. If the Council fleet advances, we can execute the infrastructure strikes within 30 minutes. Let us hope it does not come to that," Jake said quietly. Destroying the Count. 3 days passed in tense silence. The Council fleet remained at the edge of Earth's solar system, neither advancing nor retreating. On Earth, humanity waited with weapons ready and plans prepared. In Council space, the most powerful political body in the galaxy struggled with a problem it had not faced in millions of years. An opponent that refused to submit and could not be easily defeated. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. This time, the atmosphere was different from the previous meeting. There was no certainty, no confident anger, no united front against humanity. Instead, there was doubt, fear, and fractured opinions. The Supreme Arbiter stood before the assembled delegates and presented Admiral Kreth's report. The 300 species watched footage of the targeting demonstration. They reviewed sensor data showing anomalies around the Council fleet. They listened to analysis of humanity's infrastructure targeting plan. And they struggled to understand how a species 200 years into space travel had managed to prepare such an effective defense. "This changes nothing," insisted the reptilian delegate from the Scorn Empire. "They have shown us tricks with lights and sensors. We should crush them before they become an even greater threat." But other voices disagreed. Commander Vex of the Talon Federation stood to speak. "I have reviewed Admiral Kreth's report in detail. The humans are not making empty threats. They have demonstrated capabilities we did not know they possessed. More importantly, they have shown strategic thinking that surpasses our own. They studied our weaknesses for 2 centuries while we assumed they were weak. That is not the behavior of a species we can easily defeat." Oh, a delegate from the Lumina Collective added its thoughts. The human ambassador spoke of 47 extinct civilizations. "I have researched these claims. The evidence exists. Ruins on dead worlds. Archaeological records that our own databases have suppressed or ignored. We have been destroying species that refused to accept Council control. Perhaps the humans are right to resist us." "You speak treason," the Scorn delegate hissed. "I speak truth," the Lumina replied calmly. "We claim to value diversity and peace, but we demand conformity and threaten war against those who resist. The humans have exposed our hypocrisy. We must either admit our past crimes and change our behavior, or we must accept that we are not the enlightened civilization we pretend to be." The debate continued for hours. Some species defended the Council's actions as necessary for maintaining order. Others questioned whether order achieved through threats and violence was worth maintaining. A few, mostly younger species who had joined the Council more recently, admitted they had not known about the extinct civilizations and were disturbed by the revelations. Finally, the ancient Velcron veteran who had spoken to Admiral Kreth requested permission to address the full Council. The Arbiter, after a moment of hesitation, granted it. The veteran's voice carried weight and sadness as it spoke to the assembly. "I am 8,000 years old. I have served the Council for most of my life. I have fought in campaigns against species that refused our guidance. I believed I was doing right. I believed we were bringing order to chaos, peace to conflict. But I was wrong. We were not maintaining order. We were maintaining our own power. Any species that showed potential to challenge us was eliminated. The humans are correct about the 47 extinct civilizations. I know this because I helped destroy 3 of them." The chamber fell into shocked silence. "The Kethrans were brilliant engineers," the veteran continued. The Vexar were master geneticists. The Solm were developing AI that surpassed anything we possessed. Each time, we told ourselves they were dangerous. Each time, we convinced ourselves they needed to be controlled. And each time, when they refused control, we erased them from existence. We are not peacekeepers. We are predators who eliminate potential rivals. The veteran paused, letting its words sink in. The humans understand this. That is why they prepared for 2 centuries. That is why they refuse to submit. They know that accepting our ultimatum means slow death. They have chosen to fight instead, and I believe they will win. Not because they are stronger, but because they are fighting for survival, while we are fighting for pride. The Arbiter's skin colors shifted through complex patterns of emotion. What do you propose we do? Surrender to a single species? I propose we negotiate, the veteran replied. Not from a position of superior strength demanding submission, but as equals seeking mutual understanding. The humans do not want to rule the galaxy. They want to exist without interference. That is not an unreasonable request. Another species representative spoke up, this one from a peaceful agricultural world that had been part of the Council for only 500 years. My people joined the Council because we believed it would protect us. But if the Council destroys species that grow too advanced, then we are not safe either. One day, we might develop something the Council fears. Would you erase us too? More voices joined in agreement. Not all of them, but enough to show that the Council was no longer unified in its stance against humanity. The debate continued for another full day. Finally, a vote was called. The question was simple. Should the Council withdraw its ultimatum against humanity and begin genuine negotiations, or should it proceed with military action? The vote was closer than anyone expected. 173 species voted to withdraw and negotiate. 127 voted to continue with military action. The Council was deeply divided, but the majority had spoken. The Supreme Arbiter, bound by Council law to follow the majority decision, issued new orders to Admiral Kreth. Withdraw the fleet. Invite human representatives to neutral negotiations. No preconditions. No demands. Just talks between equals. On Earth, Jake Harrison received the news with a mixture of relief and caution. Humanity had won this confrontation. But the war was not over. The Council had backed down, but 127 species still wanted to destroy Earth. The political situation in the galaxy had become complicated and dangerous. They are offering to negotiate, General Ryan Foster said, reading the official Council message. No ultimatums, no threats. They want to talk. It is a start, Jake replied. But we cannot lower our guard. We showed them our strength to avoid having to use it. Now we need to use diplomacy to build something better than what existed before. Lisa Chen looked at the tactical displays, showing the Council fleet beginning its withdrawal from the solar system. What do you think will happen now? Jake considered the question carefully. The Council is fractured. Some species genuinely want peace and cooperation. Others still view us as a threat. We need to work with the peaceful ones to reform the Council from within. We need to expose the truth about the extinct civilizations and make sure it never happens again. And we need to remain strong enough that the hostile species cannot attack us, even if they want to. So we keep building ships, Ryan said. Yes. And we keep them hidden. We maintain our advantages in stealth technology and strategic positioning. We proved that we can defend ourselves. Now we need to prove that we can be good neighbors despite our strength. 6 months later, Jake Harrison returned to the Council chamber for the first time since his dramatic speech. The atmosphere was different now. The 300 species still gathered, but they looked at him with new respect, mixed with wariness. He was no longer a representative of a weak young species. He was the ambassador of a power that had forced the entire Council to reconsider its assumptions. The negotiations that followed were long and difficult. Humanity demanded recognition of the extinct civilizations and formal acknowledgement of the Council's past actions. Many species resisted, not wanting to admit historical crimes, but the evidence Jake presented was overwhelming, and more species came forward with their own stories of suppression campaigns and threatened civilizations. Eventually, the Council agreed to establish a truth commission to investigate the extinct species. They also agreed to reform their laws to prevent future erasures. Any species facing Council military action would now have the right to appeal to a neutral tribunal. The process was not perfect, but it was progress. Humanity, for its part, agreed to share some of its advanced technology with the Council. Not weapons or stealth systems, but medical advances, efficiency improvements, and agricultural techniques. Jake wanted to show that Earth could be a beneficial partner rather than just a military threat. The peace was fragile. Some species never accepted humanity's place in the galaxy. There were incidents and tensions, but there was no war. The Council fleet did not return to Earth. The infrastructure targets remained unharmed. Humanity's hidden ships stayed in the shadows, a constant reminder that attacking Earth would cost more than anyone was willing to pay. Jake stood in his quarters on the Council station one evening, looking out at the stars. General Ryan Foster's face appeared on his communication screen. "How are the negotiations going?" Ryan asked. "Slowly," Jake admitted. "We are making progress, but some species will never trust us. They see our strength as a threat rather than a deterrent. Can you blame them? We did threaten to destroy their civilization. We threatened to destroy their empire," Jake corrected. "Not their civilization. There is a difference. We wanted them to understand that we would fight in ways they could not predict or prevent. We wanted to make war too costly for them to consider. And it worked," Ryan said. "Humanity is still free. Earth is still independent. We can develop our technology without Council oversight. That was always the goal." Jake nodded. "But now comes the harder part. We need to build a new relationship with the galaxy. One based on mutual respect rather than fear. That will take generations." "Do you think we can do it?" Ryan asked. Jake thought about the question for a moment before answering. "Yes. Because we proved something important. We proved that a young species can stand up to an ancient empire. We proved that careful preparation can overcome superior numbers. We proved that you do not have to be the strongest to avoid being destroyed. You just have to make destruction too expensive to attempt." "Humanity's answer to the Council's ultimatum," Ryan said with a slight smile. "Exactly. They declared war. We smiled and unveiled a strategy they could not counter. And now the galaxy knows that Earth will not be intimidated, controlled, or erased. We have secured our future. Not through conquest, but through preparation, intelligence, and the absolute willingness to fight, if necessary." The communication ended. Jake returned to looking at the stars, thinking about all the extinct civilizations that had come before humanity. They had tried to reason with the Council. They had tried to show strength. They had tried to compromise. None of it had saved them. Humanity had succeeded where others failed because they learned from those failures. They prepared for 2 centuries. They hid their strength until the moment it was needed. They chose a strategy that targeted the Council's true weakness. And when the moment came, they did not blink. The galaxy would never be the same. The Council's absolute power had been challenged and found wanting. Other species would look at humanity's example and realize that submission was not the only option. Change was coming to galactic civilization, slow and difficult, but inevitable. And it had all started with one simple act. A diplomat, standing before 300 hostile species, listening to their ultimatum, and choosing to smile rather than surrender. That smile had meant something. It had meant that humanity knew something the Council did not. It had meant that Earth had an answer to their threats, an answer 200 years in the making. An answer that would ensure humanity's survival and freedom for generations to come. Jake Harrison smiled again, alone in his quarters. Thinking about the future. His species had won. Ill's infrastructure will cause chaos across the galaxy. Trillions of people will be affected. It is a last resort, not a preferred option. But you would do it, Ryan stated. It was not a question. Yes, Jake confirmed. If the alternative is humanity's extinction, then yes, I would do it. We all would. That is what the Council needs to understand. We are not bluffing. We are not posturing. We are absolutely willing to burn down their empire, if that is what it takes to survive. Thanks for watching. And also on CUR. They waited. The Council fleet remained in position. And somewhere in Council space, 300 species were learning that the galaxy had changed, and that humanity's answer to their ultimatum was not submission, but defiance backed by 2 centuries of careful preparation. Uncertainty. The battle he had expected to be a simple police action had suddenly become something far more complex and dangerous. What are you proposing? He asked. I am proposing that you return to the Council and tell them what you have learned, Jake replied. Tell them that humanity will not surrender. Tell them that we know about the 47 extinct species. Tell them that we have prepared for this moment for 2 centuries. And tell them that if they choose war, they will lose everything they have built. Not through conquest, but through the destruction of the connections that hold their empire together. Kreth looked at the tactical displays around him. His fleet still outnumbered the visible human forces. But if the humans were telling the truth about their hidden ships, about their real capabilities, about their plans to attack Council infrastructure, then this battle would not be the victory he had promised the Council. I need time to consider this information, Kreth said carefully. Take all the time you need, Jake replied. But know this, Admiral. You are sitting at the edge of Earth's solar system, surrounded by ships you cannot see. If you advance, we will interpret it as an attack and respond accordingly. Choose wisely. The transmission ended, leaving Kreth alone with his thoughts and his fleet. Then we need to make them understand, Ryan said, before they attack and force us to destroy their empire. Is there any way to demonstrate our capabilities without actually starting the war? Jake thought about this. An idea began to form in his mind. Maybe, if we can show them something that shakes their confidence, something that proves we are not bluffing about our hidden strength. What do you have in mind? Lisa asked. I need to talk to Admiral Kreth directly, Jake said. Before his fleet reaches Earth, I need to show him exactly what he is up against. In this Council has lived in peace and comfort for so long that you have forgotten what real war looks like. You fight colonial actions and police operations. You crush weak opponents who cannot fight back. He paused, letting his next words carry full weight. Humanity has spent 200 years preparing to fight an enemy that wants to exterminate us. We have not prepared to win a fair fight. We have prepared to win an unfair fight. We have studied your tactics, your logistics, your infrastructure, and your weaknesses. And we have built a military specifically designed to exploit every single vulnerability you have. The Arbiter stared at the human in silence. Jake continued, his voice steady and certain. So here is humanity's answer to your ultimatum. No, we will not dismantle our military. We will not accept your oversight. We will not surrender our freedom. And if you choose to invade Earth, you will learn exactly what a species fights like, when the only alternative is extinction. The chamber exploded into shouts and denials. Delegates jumped to their feet. Some called Jake a liar. Others demanded he be removed. The Arbiter slammed all 4 of its arms against its platform, creating a thunderous boom that forced silence. These are lies, the Arbiter said, its voice sharp with anger. Jake's expression did not change. Then explain the Kethran expanse. 12 empty planets with ruins of a spacefaring species. Explain the silent zones where our scans show debris from destroyed worlds. Explain why your histories never mention these 47 civilizations. He let the question hang in the air before continuing. 200 years ago, when we learned the truth, humanity made a choice. We would not be civilization number 48. We would not let you erase us. So, we did exactly what you accused us of. We built weapons. We advanced our technology. We prepared for war. And we did it all while pretending to follow your rules. Jake deactivated the hologram and looked directly at the Arbiter. You want to know why humanity develops so quickly? Why we ignore your laws? Because we are not preparing to conquer anyone. We are preparing to survive you.